Bonjour, bonsoir, dear friends. Bienvenue, bon appétit to JCB Live. Tonight is a night where we're going to discover the mysteries of the finest truffle coming from around the world, and specifically one of the unique places where they happen to be the best. I'll let you guess which one it is. We're going to meet three extremely talented chefs, charismatic, charming, irresistible entrepreneurs, and with so much skills. They're going to share a few dishes with us. And what I love about them is how I met them. They will tell us all about it, how they started their business, how they became great entrepreneurs in the world of food and wine as well, because they understand so much and very well both, and what they do because they are the movers and shakers of the future of food in the United States of America. Their company is called Truffle Shuffle. And please meet Jason, Tyler, and the beautiful and gorgeous Sarah. Bonsoir, dear friends. Buonanotte.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Jean-Charles.
Bonsoir. So they were trained, of course, by Thomas Keller, one of the most awarded chefs in the history of the United States. This is Jason, Tyler, and Sarah in the middle. Sarah, we're going to open that baby. We're going to open, and cheers to you and your two husbands. So how does it feel, Sarah, to actually have two irresistible husbands?
This is my romantic husband and this is my business husband. So I feel very fortunate. We're just one big family here at Truffle Shuffle.
I love it. This is the modern way of living. So do you spend more time with your romantic husband or your business husband?
Well, I have to say that we all live together, so it's about the same amount of time.
I've always wondered how a ménage à trois would function, but this is why we actually produce for you Haute Couture. Listen to that noise. For you, the modern world.
Ooh.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. So as you know, I've been an enormous fan of you three. So I think it would be so great that you tell us how you got the passion to start this amazing company named Truffle Shuffle and how you get started. Cheers, cheers.
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 Cheers. To the menage a trois. To the
Le ménage à trois, now it's ménage à quatre, but I can only watch.
that count. Yeah, exactly.
I don't mind watching for a little while, you know. But it's about truffle, so why not?
Right, when troubles are involved too.
Anything goes, I guess. Okay.
We have more webcams than we've ever had in our whole
That's
life.
true.
I can tell you that much right now. So, Jean-Charles, that's
We want to catch every angle if we're going to do that. It's all about the geometry of the human body. But maybe we're going to focus on truffle to get started.
So, Jean-Charles, we started Truffle Shuffle in 2018, right? And this was about 6 months after we had all left the French Laundry. And so Tyler left to go open up a restaurant in Maine, or just kind of to scope it out. And then me and Sarah left actually to go cook for a gentleman who is now our largest investor. And so when we were at the restaurant, the French Laundry uses the largest amount of truffles out of any restaurant in America. They get in an unbelievable amount, and they're very generous with them too, which is very uncommon. Most restaurants charge by the gram, but the French Laundry is the only restaurant that actually weighs truffles to make sure they shave enough. And so while we're there, I can say I fell in love with truffles, and what we really fell in love with is the experience that they provide for people. When you talk to someone that's had a beautiful truffle dish prepared the right way, even if it was 20 years ago, they still remember that. And I thought that was incredible, and I wanted to build a company around that. And what we also learned with truffles is that they're the most expensive ingredient that restaurants buy, and the hardest for them to know where they're coming from. You look at, even Wagyu beef, $150 a pound, right? White truffles, $5,000 a pound. And so when we looked at that, we kind of saw an opportunity in the market, right, to go in and be able to help chefs source honest, sustainable truffles. And so that was our idea to start this business. And then the first thing we did is we sent one of our friends to Italy. We took about 9,999 euros in cash and strapped it to his chest because we were really worried about putting it into a suitcase. And we also didn't know how the banking system worked over there. So we just sent him with cash. And he went over
Why
there.
not? What type of bills? 1, 10, 20s, 50s, 100?
50s and hundreds.
Right.
Did you mix a few liras in there as well?
Yeah. And so he got there, and we made one connection with one awesome Italian truffle hunting family. They've been doing this about 500 years out of Umbria. And he went and stayed with them and just started sending truffles back. And so he sent them back to me, Sarah, and Tyler. And basically, we got them. And truffles are like a ticking time bomb. And so we get them in, and then we just went door to door to restaurants and started selling them. And so we started at the end of 2018. And by the end of the year, we had done over 100,000 in revenue. And we were just blown away. And then in 2019, as you know, and how we met, me and Sarah went on our honeymoon to Bali, met one lady that was making a salt, right? This beautiful Balinese sea salt. We brought it back. We wanted to help the family. So we launched the truffle salt. We launched this salt, and there's this one grocery store we started going to every weekend. And we would go up there and we would demo this salt at Oakville Grocery. And we just, the response that we got from people was incredible. And it gave us a lot of confidence in the product. And then eventually,
wow.
There we go.
Nice salt over there, John Charles. Beautiful.
You know, we are in love. I need to say to everybody that, you know, those boys and charming Sarah are not only the hardest workers, but they created a magical recipe. And they demonstrated at the Oakville Grocery where we met. I saw this and fell in love. Coup de foudre, love at first sight. And they've been going on an enormous success as we've developed as well many other products, including the popcorn and many other things. So they are brilliant in their invention. But tell us about Bali. So you saw the salt and you said, we got to do it with truffle.
So me and Sarah honestly just went on a scooter ride and ended up meeting this lady. And it was, you know, coming from the French Laundry. And the French Laundry serves 9 different salts with their foie gras. It was the nicest salt any of us had ever seen. And so we brought it back. If you could now imagine, I'm coming back from Bali with 100 kilos of this white substance in my bags. And we bring it back in kind of honestly with no idea how to even launch a product, know where to even sell it. And so we get going, right? And Oakville Grocery gave us our platform to really launch it and to get that confidence in the product. Because we would demo it on the crackers and goat cheese at Oakville Grocery as the line just piled in the door. And you would just see people light up. And eventually Whole Foods got a whiff of it and they loved it. Whole Foods agreed to a global deal with us. So the salt and honey sent us the POs, right? And so this is kind of the end of 2019. We're still doing the fresh truffles. Now we got our 2 products. You know, the business is getting off the ground. And we were 3 people. We didn't pay ourselves anything for 2019. And at the end of 2019 into 2020, we doubled our team. So we hired 3 more people. We went from 3 to 6 people, which we're so excited about. And we're getting ready for this global launch with Whole Foods that was supposed to happen in Q2 of 2020. And so as we're ramping up to that, right, we had to put money into marketing, into demos. Basically all the money that we had in the business went into, you know, getting ready to go from being in 50 stores, 500.
Which really kind of felt like when we strapped all the money to our friend's chest, it was once again all the money we had, kind of all of our eggs in one basket.
Or all your mushroom in one luggage.
Yes.
Exactly.
Sarah,
I'm
getting a little worried now. I want to smell that suitcase when you travel, because when you don't put truffle, you put salt. When you don't put salt, I'm sure you got to put foie gras now because it's legal again.
Maybe.
That's actually another story, but
well, we want to hear it too.
We're you know, we're getting ready for this global launch, and you know, we start to hear about coronavirus, and then it was at the end of March, the shelter in place hit, And when the shelter-in-place hit, we had brought in basically all the truffles we could for the end of the French Black Perigord season. So we had about 20 pounds of truffles because we're like, the restaurants will still be open. They will still buy truffles, right? And that our business was 80% restaurants. So we bring in all these truffles, right? And the shelter in place happens, and we have 20 pounds of fresh truffles on hand, and every single restaurant in the entire world is closed. And those truffles were the cash equivalent to all the money we had in the bank. And so here we are, kind of way far out than we should have been, trying to get ready for Whole Foods, which is supposed to be start paying its dividends very soon. And then we have these truffles, and we're like a lot of business owners, just kind of, on deer in the headlights. But on our end with truffles, if we didn't find a way to sell those within 5 days, like we were going out of business. And so the next day we got a call from the battery. So the truffles come in on Tuesday. Wednesday, we get a call from the battery. And they said, will you do a virtual cooking class for some of our members, right? And basically, me and Tyler take this phone call. And if you want kind of an example of what 20 pounds of fresh truffles looks like, it would fill this entire suitcase. Right? So this suitcase was just filled with fresh truffles. And we take this phone call, and we're looking at all of these truffles, right? And they're like, would you want to do a virtual cooking class for our members? And we're like, well, and they just wanted to send a shopping list. So we're like, well, what if we know your members want the best? What if we sent everyone all the ingredients they needed for risotto, and we'll even see if we can get some fresh truffles in? And the battery was like, wow, would you really do that? And we're like, yes, we would absolutely do that. And so
true entrepreneurs.
Because if you remember, I mean, no one wanted to go to the grocery store. The lines were long, toilet paper sold out, hand sanitizers at an all-time low, and no one's really buying truffle salt. No one wanted to stand in line. So we thought, well, we can offer this awesome experience and be the middleman and send them all measured out ingredients. So there's absolutely no worry, and it really kind of takes a moment and takes people out of the stress of the situation.
Mm-hmm. And so the grocery stores, the line's out the door, but no one has even thought about Restaurant Depot. So Restaurant Depot has all of the supplies for all the restaurants that are closed. There's no line at Restaurant Depot, and the battery agrees to it, and we're like, excellent. So that was Wednesday. Thursday morning, we're literally having an accountant meeting with our accountant, trying to figure out the numbers and the PPP. And this thing launches at 9 a.m. And it was like every 2 seconds we got an order. And by noon that day, we effectively sold out of all the truffles. And since then, we haven't had to furlough anyone. We've actually hired 8 chefs that were completely laid off. We've been able to cook and donate about 6,000 meals to frontline healthcare workers and those in need. And then we last month were able to donate just under $8,000 to the NAACP.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations. This is why I introduce you as true entrepreneurs, because not only you know the kitchen, you know the ingredients, you know love and passion because you have a lot of it, but you know as well to manage and navigate in difficult situations. So not only we admire you for this, and as well for what you give back, because you are very generous as well. So let's have a toast again to this. And I would like Sarah to describe this wine in 3 words, because she loves to do things in threes. So she's going to have to do 3 as the key word of all day.
Okay.
And this is Haute Couture. Sarah, dedicated to all of you, because I love you with your fashionable t-shirts and great apron. And Haute Couture in French means high fashion and style. As you cook in style, this wine is dedicated to you.
Ooh. It definitely has some of that like brioche quality, kind of like a sweet bread for sure. I can tell. Aged in oak for a little bit, definitely. I would imagine, yeah. Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Apple, but like a golden apple.
Ooh.
Okay, that's 2, right?
Yeah. And you could use an adjectives of your choice, like suave, electric, like magnetic, like unctuous.
Oh, okay. So I need
like
a fun adjective. All right.
Maybe as you hold the hands of two of your phenomenal chefs, maybe the world will come.
It's like one of these.
Because I know Tyler is dying to show us what he's preparing for dinner tonight.
He is. How about perfection? It is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for saying that. We never thought we could reach it, but if you say we have, we'll take the compliments. So before we start, Tyler, with the recipe, Jason, Sarah, Tyler, how is it to start a business with friends like this? You're all friends, and you decide, let's all go in business and get going, because your sense of entrepreneurship, your sense of talent and creation, and now starting a business, that's quite amazing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it has been crazy since day one. I can say from my point of view, basically, I was kind of in between projects, and I get this call from Jason, and he's like, hey, I've decided to take all the money that Sarah and I have and fly to Italy and grab some truffles and import them to the United States. And I was like, well, that is absolutely crazy. I would highly advise against that. But then I was like, well, that's kind of just crazy enough to maybe work, like in some weird alternate reality. And so I can say from my point of view, it has been super gratifying to be able to see, you know, because all of us were from the restaurant atmosphere, you know, which is a very disciplined, systematic approach to everything. And then when you start your own business, as you know, Jean-Charles, it's just, you got to change and pivot with every single thing that comes at you. So it is, I can say for myself, it's been very inspiring, because not only are these two my friends, but, you know, I also look up to them and am inspired by them every single day. So, you know, we're friends, but we're also family, as you know, Jean-Charles.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. This is so exciting. What a passion you display, and what a fraternity you exude, and a love of life at the same time. So I have many more questions for you, but do you want to show us dish number one? Because besides being great entrepreneurs and great business people, you are incredible talents in the kitchen. I mean, both of you in the French Laundry, and now starting your own incredible show, and of course your virtual tastings, because you invited me in one of them and it was incredible. You had 500 or 600 people cooking all together your fabulous pasta, and I'm very impressed by that, and we'll talk about it in a moment, but show us what you're about to prepare.
Amazing. Well, so we're going to prepare a couple dishes today. The first of which is going to be super, super simple, because as you know, right now it is late July. We're in California. Some of the Most beautiful produce in the entire world is right here. There we go. Do the same with some tomatoes.
I like yours as well. I hope it comes from the Raymond Vineyards or DeLoach Vineyards garden.
They're growing these up north as well.
I love it.
We have the lovely heirloom tomatoes from California. And so all this is just a little bit from our garden. So we have the beautiful Armenian cucumbers, Tokyo turnips, some more heirloom variety tomatoes, little beans. And so, again, we wanted to really show off the power of plants. And with this dish, it's all just going to be raw and marinated, because that's one of the ways that personally I like to have vegetables the best, because then it just shows off that natural, the natural quality and complexity of the beautiful produce. So with this dish, again, super straightforward. We're just going to take some beautiful heirloom tomatoes, right?
They're good.
Oh my gosh. So good.
I know, we're so lucky. As I'm watching you, I prepared a little tomato mozzarella just not to fall away from appetite. And I'm I sprinkle your beautiful truffle salt as well. So I pre-prepared it because I'm not as good as you are. But
I was going to say, that looks awesome. That looks stunning, Jean-Charles. And I was going to say, after
because I have an eye on you at all time, as you could see in the mozzarella. And guess what I have?
What's that?
Fabulous truffle honey, and of course the magnificent truffle salt. So I have all your products with us.
Stunning. Well, Jean-Charles, I know you're being humble because as we saw on the cooking class that we did, you know your way around a kitchen, especially with the pasta dough, right?
Oh yeah.
Especially that step of smacking the pasta dough. That was very well done. Mm-hmm. I know that you nailed that one.
I wish, but my lovely wife Gina did 99% of the work, and the 1% which did not work out in the kitchen is the one I touch. So I can just be good at rolling the dough. But tell us about all the events as well you're doing, because everybody should know, as you're demonstrating us how to prepare this dish, all the virtual events you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So we're putting together this beautiful salad of all the produce that we have out here in West Oakland, but we do cooking classes every single Sunday, public cooking classes. For instance, this weekend, we're going to be showcasing these stunning tomatoes, but as a truffle margarita pizza. So we're going to do handmade focaccia. We're going to teach everyone how to make their own focaccia dough. It's going to be amazing. Heirloom tomatoes, buffalo milk mozzarella, truffles. So we got a couple dishes planned. We also have a beautiful soft scrambled egg class that we're going to do
with caviar.
Of course.
Because eggs and eggs.
Expensive moments, caviar, black truffles, white truffles, all of the above, right?
Exactly.
Right. Haute Couture.
Haute Couture. So this wine really represents, a blend of the great grape varieties from France. Now, my life has been surrounded with wine, and this is my passion. Besides cooking, what is your passion, each of you?
I suppose I can answer that first, because your guys is a little bit more, you've known you wanted to cook from day one. But my background is actually in film photography, and I'm a big hiker on the outside. So that's my passion. But at the end of the day, I always knew I wanted to be in hospitality in one kind of form or another. And I think we were all in restaurants from the beginning, and just doing something, paying our way through college, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. And then that kind of stuck with me. And I met a lot of inspirational people like yourself that made me fall in love with wine and the story and tradition. And it's beautiful. And I never went back. And so that inspired me more to be in our hospitality industry. But that's my background. And that's what I'm doing when we're not working. But in all honesty, we're always working.
That's very impressive. Very excited. Phil, so I hope we make a film about Truffle Shuffle one day to come.
We will have to.
I'm sure it's in the making. So Jason, what about you? What's your passion?
My passion, I love cooking. Cooking for me is, I think a lot of great chefs start out and they're that kid that kind of got in trouble too much, couldn't get anything right, might have come from a broken home, and then they start cooking, and there's so many little things you can start to do right, you fall in love with it, And so I fell in love with cooking from a very young age, and my dad was actually a businessman, and he had a used car business for a very long time. He grew it into a massive dealership back in the South, and he grew that, and I always watched my dad build a business, but I never thought building a business would end up being my passion. It's funny, as a little kid, I had a carrot, a little like Velcro wooden carrot, and I would cut the carrot and I would play with my Easy Bake Oven. And then other days I had a briefcase filled with Monopoly money. And so I either wanted to be a businessman or a chef. And now that we've really, especially doing these cooking classes and having that experience and interaction with people, I really love the opportunity to be able to build something, you know, to be able to have an idea about these cooking classes or this or that and put it into action and really see people take to that, and it generate revenue that revenue you're able to, you know, support a team, support the business, support your life, and then also give back to the community. So I love cooking, but I also just really, you know, I would say my passion is building a business.
Well, this is great. And you're certainly combining it, all of it together today, which is so impressive and a great inspiration for all our friends with us, because one, you're all very fun. Two, you're young and, you know, vibrantly passionate. And three, you're entrepreneurs. And fourth, you do what you love. So what's not to follow as an example in the world? And I love that. So what about you, Tyler, before you present that gorgeous dish?
Honestly, one of my passions, I mean, I guess I'm a very simple person where I've just loved cooking my entire life. I've been cooking ever since I could legally cook. Started as a dishwasher. I'm from Maine originally, worked my way up in Maine, and then, you know, just went for it, and then started cooking at the French Laundry. So, you know, honestly, it's been super interesting for me because where I come from, you know, not a lot of people can make it to a place like the French Laundry. So, but I can say from my experience, like something that I'm passionate about is like creating those experiences. Because honestly, that's what cooking is about. Cooking is about nourishing people, but it's also about creating those beautiful experiences. Because like, how many of us have all those wonderful memories surrounding food? And it's that thing that can connect to everybody on the entire planet is food. And so what we like to say in Truffle Shuffle is our love language is food. You know?
I love it. Very well said. So you want to, before we move to the next dish and the next one, you want to show us that magnificent dish you prepared, because you're making me salivate here. We're together.
Well, that's the idea, Jean-Charles. So basically, again, we've created this beautiful dish, heirloom tomatoes, right? Turnips, Armenian cucumbers, just all the beautiful produce in California right now. And then we just did a little champagne vinaigrette with some fresh beans, right? And then I'm going to finish this with a little bit of our lovely Balinese truffle salt. And then Sarah is going to give us the ultimate plant-based elevation of the experience. Otherwise known as...
What I'm doing right now, Tyler, I'm putting your truffle salt on my tongue, and I'm having a little Haute Couture.
Whoa.
And I think that's going to become my new tradition. The two together goes very well.
Oh, there we go.
You guys like a little truffle salt?
Everybody around me is jealous. I'm eating salt.
Start doing this rim with that.
That's it. I'm going to put my tongue in the jar sooner than later. But hey, Tyler and Jason, do you want to explain quickly how we met at the Oakville Grocery? Because this was kind of a fun story. And I think all those stories can happen to any one of us in life. And that was the beginning of our friendship. So I let you take the lead on it.
Yeah. And so honestly, I know like Jason was saying before, and as you know, Jean-Charles, but Oakville Grocery was that place that you guys gave us a chance. You let us put our foot in the door, which, you know, we are eternally grateful for. And, you know, every single weekend, myself, Jason, and Sarah would go to Oakville Grocery and sell this product that we decided to launch. And so one week, my dad actually came out from Maine to visit me and see how the business was going. And, you know, we were putting him to work, having him like label jars, and he's sleeping on the couch. I'm not entirely sure he quite understood what he was getting himself into, but either way, we had him up there selling salt with us, right?
I mean, if we just take 1 second to think about that, when we would go up to Oakville Grocery, we literally were making, if we wanted to sell 100 jars, we would make 100 jars that morning. Yes. I mean, start to finish, from the raw salt, truffles, make it, label it, and then put it in the cases and then drive up there.
Yeah. And so one day, you know, we were late and it was for a Saturday, which, you know, Oakville Grocery on a Saturday is the place to be. So everyone is there, right? If you're wine tasting in the Napa Valley, you got to go there.
Yeah.
So we actually didn't make it there until like 3 o'clock, which is after the rush. And so we're kind of downtrodden by that a little bit. We had missed our opportunity a little bit. My dad wasn't able to see us like really in action. So when we were breaking down the tasting station,
well, I think we still sold like 46 jars.
We did. Yeah, we did.
Because there's the first push, and then there's that second 2 to 4 push at Oakville Grocery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you still did very well that day.
Yeah, so we still did well, but you know, we were still leaving a little less enthused than we would have been. And so, you know, we go to the parking lot. I'm loading up the trunk of my Volkswagen Jetta with with the truffle salt. And we're like, all right, you know, we're going to come back Sunday. And then we see this Maserati pull up next to us. And I'm like, well, that's cool. All right. And I look over and it is none other than Jean-Charles Boisset himself getting out of the car.
and looking at you with open arms and say, here they are.
You did. And so honestly, literally it was just saw you, went right over to you, and you came out to me, hand outstretched, you know, like shaking my hand. So nice to meet you. I heard all about you guys. Thank you for coming up here. We want to work with you. We want to welcome you. And so I can say for myself, and I think I can speak for Jason too, like as young people trying to go for it, like having someone like you just be so willing to work with us and give us that opportunity was incredible. And so, you know, my dad's over on the sidelines and he's just like blown away. Like, what is going on?
I wish we had a camera because this was one of the best moments for me too. And I want everybody to hear this is, you know, you see young entrepreneurs and their father helping and they're kicking ass every Saturday and selling so many great high quality products and doing so well. And to meet you was fantastic because it's so energizing to see people undertaking, to see people doing, to see people energized to really create and believe in what they create. So I'm so excited because that day, I think Patrick as well was there and we exchanged logos. The next thing we knew, we were creating not only one product, but 2 products, the beautiful honey as well. And of course now, as you all know, we have this unbelievable popcorn that you've created for us that is so crunchy, that is so delightful, whether you're watching a movie, whether you're entertaining friends or you're having dessert, this is it. This is the famous kettle truffle shuffle popcorn. So now we have a minimum of 3 products and I can tell you whatever we create, we'll bring it in. So we're so excited.
Thank
so
you
in any
so
case,
much.
I wanted everybody to hear this because, you know, you really represent the American dream, the American story, passion, friendship, love, entrepreneurship, willingness to take risk, willingness to work hard, and really the willingness to test what can work. And I know you believed in your skills as you should, but it's not always easy and you're doing it. So it's so commending. So I want to raise my glass, dear friends, to another great vision. And the next one we've chosen is purposely one that speaks you to, which is one of our Pinot Noir from DeLoach, that very famous appellation. And that Pinot really speaks as well the terroir and the earth. And that's the transition to the next dish. And as well, for you to tell us why truffle really? You've explained us the truffle story, but how did you each fell in love with that mushroom? Because it's a very complicated mushroom. It's a very sophisticated one. And like this wine, it requires organic. It requires even biodynamic. It requires the creation of Mother Nature, the alchemy of the roots, the tree, the earth, to really become what it is. So tell us why that little truffle.
You know, the this is incredible. And
Well,
but before I
Jason,
answer that,
you can take over and describe it too. Huh? Tell us about the wine as well, because
Please. We love hearing Jason's wine notes.
Jason's actually our
He's the real
in-house wine expert.
well, before I describe this incredible wine, my favorite part about meeting you that day, John Charles, was, we met. Just the fact that we're able to come up to Oakville Grocery. A lot of people, like a lot. If you can imagine right now, in the middle of this pandemic, all these chefs laid off. How many phone calls we're getting on, like, how do you start? And before this pandemic, our number one advice that we give people is you got to find somewhere where you can go every Saturday, Sunday and sell your product. And that literally is like the most pivotal step in launching products or moving your business to the next step. And you did that for us, and so
thank you.
I'm thankful. And, we're a small team, but we have big ambitions. And what I remember is we exchanged cards, and I had bought really nice business cards, right?
And I loved it. And I sent you an email that evening, you remember?
Yeah, and they were $1 each, right? And I'm like, well, this is crazy. I'm literally handing people $1. Like, here's $1, here's $1. So then we bought really small ones, right? Like really, really small business cards.
Very cute.
They were like 2 cents each, and we exchanged business cards. And your business card was a
fold out,
like a tri-fold pamphlet with a list of all your businesses. And we're driving home, and I'm just reading them. I'm like,
we're like, that one too, and that one,
this winery and this winery. And so I just remember that business card and be like, well, I guess that's when you made it. Not just when you can afford the nice business card, but when you can afford the business card
that's a pamphlet
that folds out multiple times because you have to put all of your businesses on there. And I was like,
no, the most fun is your card had a big impact, as you know, because I remember it was 11:45 p.m. that night, and I had a dinner, and I was thinking of the both of you and your dad, and I said, I got to send them a quick email. So I sent you an email that evening, and I will never forget, because I thought, God, I hope we cross paths again and we build something great. So now, Jason, show us your talent of a somm.
Yes.
Oh, please.
Somm Jason,
Jason.
please lead us through this one.
So here we're going to be enjoying this fabulous wine from DeLoach. And, the first thing that you notice when you taste this wine is that it's a little wet, and that's good. Because if it was dry, you'd mean you're out of wine, and that's bad. If you're out of wine, you don't want to do that. But with all joking aside, this is an absolutely fantastic wine. And
We thought it would go well with the truffle.
this would go fantastic with truffle, because the ending of it really kind of, you can tell that this wine, when you were pair it with a rich and fatty dish, would accentuate that flavor and really add, especially to something like wild mushrooms. And me and Sarah, we went hiking the other day, and it was honestly, it's been a long time since I was just out in the forest, right? And you think about being out in the forest and that smell that you get of just how incredible just a wild forest smell. And that's why we're so attracted to things like mushrooms and truffles, right?
I'm with you.
This is the perfect wine to pair with just an unbelievable, beautiful dish with those earthy components like morels or truffles. And so today, kind of the question you had was, how do you make plant-based dishes and pair them with wine and make them incredible? And so what I wanted to put together, I'm from the South, and so we made a little polenta or grits. So it's an almond mushroom polenta with wild mushrooms. And when I tasted this
love that. I love it. It's going to go so magically. And as you show us how to make it, I really want to make the comments of your observation of the forest. And it's very true. Pinot Noir, I was raised in Burgundy, And every weekend, Saturday, Sunday, my grandparents' parents, we would go what we call mushroom hunting. And you go in the sous-bois in the old Royal Forest, the Manuel Forest, on the hillside of the Côte de Nuit, where we grow all the top Grand Cru, and you find mushrooms. You're talking morel, chanterelle, trompette de la mort, cèpe, bolé, all the families of mushroom. We come back, we open a great bottles of Pinot, and you cook the mushrooms just with butter, maybe a little bit of parsley or estragon or one of those, and that's it. And this was the dream of the weekend. So I love your association of the forest with this wine, because that's really what it reminds me of. Well said.
And I don't know what it is exactly, but I think there's just a connection that humans have to the wild or the forest. And we get that. We don't recognize it at first, but we get it through a wine like this and a beautiful dish with truffles.
Well, we should ask Sarah, how does she feel about her connection with the wild? She has two wild men on the
wild. A connection with the wild. I like this. No, this is beautiful.
We heard your dream. We heard one of your dream, obviously, is the movie as well, because you've studied, you know, filmmaking and all that. So is your dream to actually make a movie in addition to what you're doing today?
No, so I really love hiking and just taking, I do a lot of film photography, so like in the dark room. So still images is really, really what I love. And so, I mean, just, you know, we've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of farmers, and Jason and I just go out, like he mentioned, just in the forest, and really just like there are moments when you're out there and kind of just like capturing this, I guess a moment in time is the best way to describe it. And Jason actually did, Tyler and I were laughing because he is usually not the best at describing wine, but he actually did quite well, and I don't think he even realized
He did very well.
He did very well. But something like this is kind of perfect. And I look at a wine like this that is really approachable up front. And I like pointing our guests in the direction of something that they can drink, you know, during the class and really enjoy an experience as a whole. So I find that this is really beautiful on its own. But like Jason was mentioning, you know, he mentioned like forest floor, and it's got a finish that's a little bit dry and a little bit earthy. And I think that is really what's going to play off the food, while it allows you to really enjoy it just on its own too. So this is beautiful, and I think it's just adding to our experience overall. I guess I hope that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. But I knew that I was in love with truffles when we were all at the laundry together, and I was just working as a food runner, and you have to start at the bottom. So I was just running food, not allowed to touch the truffles. Maybe you got to carry the truffle box, and then someone else would shave the truffles. And I always knew that I wanted to be the person that shaved the truffles and really made someone's experience, like Jason was talking about. So I was hooked on truffles right away.
So Sarah, when you look at the sourcing of truffle around the world, one of our friends' numerous questions here is, obviously the Italian, the French, is there any other truffles from around the world you like, you enjoy, and you like cooking with?
French truffles are beautiful. And I would say the diversity in the spores within truffles is very vast in France. You have summer truffles, which turn into Burgundy truffles. You can occasionally you can find white truffles there, you know, in the specific, when the weather conditions are right. You have the Perigord truffles that are timeless and beautiful, but actually right now the black truffles that we have, the Tuber melanosporum, they're coming from Australia. So we're in Australian winter truffle season right now. So that's where all of our black truffles are coming from at the moment. So they have a phenomenal process there as well. The only thing is they don't produce wild truffles. So it's actually something that was started in the 1970s, and they're cultivating or farming all of these truffles, where in France they're still found in the wild. But Australia has essentially established these truffières or truffle farms there, that they're able to farm a lot of truffles and basically emulate that French truffle season, but in the opposite winter season because of the hemispheres. So that's exciting. It's bringing us truffles twice a year.
That's great. What about the Chinese truffle? What is your view of those?
You know, I wouldn't say that they're aren't some that are nice, but what happens there is essentially the entire property, like the Truffier that I described in Australia. So they monitor and kind of flag where those truffles are being grown. And then when they're able to, then the dogs will still sniff them out, because the dogs will only detect them when they're at their peak ripeness and can essentially be picked at that optimal flavor. But what happens in China is they'll be raked a lot of times in those Truffiers. And so there's no real indicator to designate, like, is that truffle right to be taken out of the ground? Is it at its peak aroma? So sometimes you end up with these truffles from China, and this is where a lot of the discrepancies kind of come from, is it's not aromatic or it's not very flavorful, and that's because it was picked too early.
That's great. Well, thank you for all those. Now, all those descriptions. You're very close, obviously, to Napa and Sonoma, where you come and see us all the time. What is your view as well of the Northern California truffles? Because a lot of efforts have been put into planting local truffles here. Do you find them desirable?
Sure. They're just, at least what we've found when we've seen truffles, and maybe Tyler can speak to this as well, but truffles in our area, they just haven't been established long enough. So in Europe or the old world, basically those trees have been inoculated for such an extended period of time, they're able to produce this really kind of large and substantial fruit, if you'll call it, essentially underground. And so those spores are well integrated with the roots of the trees, and the soil is the perfect condition, and the weather is the perfect condition for growing these truffles. Now, obviously the climate in Napa is getting a little bit warmer as well, and so we're kind of growing into that very similar weather pattern that France and Italy has as well.
Yes.
And so it's definitely the right climate, but just like with grape growing, you basically plant the grapevine and then you have to wait a certain amount of time before you harvest the grapes for winemaking. It's the same with truffles, but your time period is about 10 years. So you inoculate, then you wait 10 years and kind of cross your fingers and knock on wood, and then hope that you'll have something in the long run. And so now we see these wineries that have started quite a number of years ago inoculating their property. They're starting to see some, but they're really just kind of that size. They're very tiny. And so when people think about truffles and they want to go truffle hunting in Napa, when they see something like that and they're expecting something, like this, it's a very different experience. So I wouldn't write it off. I just don't think they're ready yet.
Yes. Well, thank you for this overview. I'm sorry, Jason. Yes?
It takes time.
Yeah, for sure. We planted, in fact, you kindly mentioned the truffle of Burgundy. So obviously we have phenomenal chefs as well in Burgundy for many, many centuries, and we can find a lot of truffles. And recently we've planted trees to have Truffier, as you said, and we slowly but surely are quite successful at Christmas. We did a little truffle hunt, and we have, 10 acres that we dedicated to the right trees, and it's now 10 years in. And I must confess, we found 7 or 8 beautifully shaped truffle, and it's starting to show some good success. So I'm very hopeful for the future, but obviously we have the weather for it and all the weather conditions necessary and the soil for that.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. Congratulations.
Well, I cannot wait for you to come and obviously visit us in Burgundy when you go truffle hunting. And maybe that's an activity we can do together and prepare a beautiful dish like Jason just did. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. Look at that dish.
He's been working hard meanwhile we were talking. What a good husband.
A white corn polenta that we did with some wild forest mushrooms. To pair with this incredible Pinot Noir. And then we garnished it with our black truffles and then a touch of what we call scallion salad. And so it's little slivers of scallion. And then we have 2 beautiful caramelized onions to go with this. And so this whole dish is completely plant-based, plant-powered. We made the polenta with a little almond milk and mushroom stock. And then we just garnished it with the mushrooms and truffles, and that creates an incredible dish that pairs with such a phenomenal wine.
And how long does it take you, Jason, to prepare that dish? Because you were, of course, very fast there, and we thank you so much for this beautiful explanation. How long does it take to prepare?
You know, so what I like to do is, coming from the South, you know, I was taught by these old Southern ladies on how to make grits or polenta, right? And it's a 4-to-1 ratio, 4 cups of liquid, 1 cup of dry. And so in this case, it's 4 cups of mushroom stock, 1 cup of polenta. And that takes, depending on the grind of the polenta, if you're using polenta, that'll take about 35 to 40 minutes.
Okay.
If you're using maybe instant grits, right, which there's no shame in. My mom loves them.
They're great.
Then that'll take about 10 minutes. And then you get that cooked. And then what I like to do is just finish it with a little cream. And in this case, we're using almond milk.
Oh, very healthy.
Right? Yeah.
I love it.
From there, we just have some. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
And just from there, we have some beautiful roasted mushrooms and then black truffles.
Mm.
Wow. This looks absolutely incredible. So you sell truffles as well. If people want to buy your truffles, you market the truffles that you source?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have them, everything online right now. And then people can add truffles to their experience kits.
Mm-hmm. So since we're doing these virtual online experiences, you know, obviously coming from the hospitality world, we really are striving to give everyone that well-rounded experience. So we start with a little mixology lesson. We recommend wine, so they have that beverage opportunity too. And this is a beautiful option that we'll keep in mind to recommend to our guests, absolutely. And then like the boys had mentioned, so we create this dish, and then everyone will also have the option of that truffle supplement at some point too. So regardless of whatever else we're doing, we're a truffle company first. Everyone will always have access to truffles through us.
I love it. I love it. So, you know, I want to make sure everybody knows the amazing experience I've had with you, where there was 500 or 600 others on this virtual cooking demonstration, the same as the one you're doing this Sunday. So tomorrow is basically order pack. You receive everything at home. It's very well organized. We cook together, and then here we go. We have an amazing meal. So I really want to commend you for your creativity on that. Now I'm going to ask you the last questions, because we covered your dream, we covered your story, your sense of entrepreneurship, your passion. We've covered what inspires you. Now, what advice would you give each and every one of you to all our friends listening today at the end of the month of July 2020, coming from Truffle Shuffle?
That's a fantastic question.
Mm.
And you know, when
besides cooking with truffle every day and enjoying your truffle salt, your truffle honey, your truffle popcorn, of course.
You know, in terms of advice, if there's anything that I am very confident in kind of just expressing to the world, it's that sometimes it's okay to believe that life can actually be better than you ever thought possible. And I've always kind of had this dream for how I wanted my life to go. And then I met Sarah. And then there's this lady, Diane, that actually gave me an opportunity to live in an Airstream trailer behind the French Laundry for free, right? And so, you know, I just remember one day I'm in this Airstream, and I actually got a picture of it over here. I'll show you. I'm working at the French Laundry. I'm in this Airstream trailer. I made a sign for myself.
Cool. Have a vision.
And I'm living there for free to save up the money to start this business. And then, you know, Sarah comes in from working at the restaurant, and I just remember thinking to myself, sometimes life can be way better than you ever thought possible. And so no matter what you're going through, I know right now is an unbelievably difficult time for a lot of people. In 2008, my dad lost his entire business. 158 employees, had to lay off everyone. And when this started to hit and come, I had no clue what was going to happen. And then I realized it's not happening just to me, it's happening to all of us.
Yes.
And we just put our heads down. We looked at how do we make something work right now. And we started with these cooking classes, and it's blown up from there. And so, you know, if there's any advice I can give, it's that sometimes it's okay to just believe that your life can be better than you ever thought possible.
Woo! What an outline. This is so well said. Jason, is Sarah or Tyler wants to go next, or do we close on that?
I don't know. That's pretty great.
Yeah, that was pretty.
I think we can all just say, don't be scared.
Yeah.
Just ask. The most, like, the breakthroughs I've had in this company have been, I just asked. I said, our company's called Truffle Shuffle. It's from a movie called The Goonies. I sent the guy an email and said, hey, I'd love to have your support and your blessing to use this name for our company. And now he's one of our biggest supporters. And you just ask. It's simple. It's nothing to be afraid of. Don't be scared.
Mm-hmm.
Well said.
Yeah, definitely.
The pressure is on you.
I don't know how I can follow up with all of that. But I mean, I don't know. I'll just follow maybe the baseline. Just keeping your nose to the grindstone. I mean, we are in no way, shape, or form where where the vision of what we know Truffle Shuffle is going to be. But what I do know is every day, all of us wake up with the common goal of trying to just make the community around us a little bit better, and working really hard. Putting our nose to the grindstone to try to get somewhere. That way we can give back. So, that's kind of what gets us going and gets us motivated every day. Wow.
Well, the three of you make such an amazing team, such great friends, such wonderful entrepreneurs. You summarized it beautifully. There's nothing to add. You gave the perfect advice to all of us, the perfect inspiration, the perfect guidelines, direction, creativity in the plate and in the mind. So let's have a toast to Truffle Shuffle, to our friendship, to your passion, and to all our friends being with us, to continue to be with us and always being inspired and always daring, taking risk, and having a vision. Cheers!
Cheers!
Cheers! Thank you, John Charles. Thank you, John Charles.
Thank you.
You guys were amazing.